Good morning. So today topic is about the installation of IO card and software. Okay. So before finaling the data acquisition card, so what we should of now, there is some thought should be given as to how frequently the IO must be sampled. Okay. So most GPIO cards which is operate in the 1 to 3 gigahertz range. So which means that it can expect anywhere from 1000 to 3000 samples per second. So it depends on the card. Okay. So before finalizing the data acquisition card, so what we should do it of Abina. So some thought should be given. So as how frequently the IO must be sampled. Okay. So in GPIO cards, so it has to be operate in the 1 to 3 kilohertz range. So which means that so it can expect anywhere from 1000 to 3000 samples per second depending on the card. Okay. So application software which is based on Windows may suffer a slight degradation in this rate. So, but the difference is small over here. Okay, and it can be regained by modifying the algorithm or moving to a more powerful processor. So each GPIO card takes up one slot and provides inputs or outputs or a combination of both over there. Okay, and most cards come with a digital IO, which can be configured either as input, output, or a combination of both. Similarly, analog IO is harder to combine because it requires a D2A card converters over on it. Okay, once the selected manufacturer and identify the potential cards, so you must determine the what you should do it of Abdina. What is the type and the precision of the IO channels needed? So IO channels which may be either inputs or outputs and they are classified based on the type of data transfer. So this leads to three channel types: analog, digital, and frequency. So these leads to three channel types: analog, digital, and frequency. What about the precision of the IO channel? So it pertains to the accuracy and transient characteristics of the D to A and A to D converter employed. Okay. And similarly, the accuracy of the converter is a function of bit length. So accuracy of the converter is a function of a bit length. So most converters will have 2-bit resolution, which is ample for most applications. Most converters will have 2-bit resolution, which is ample for most applications. However, this depends on the applications and it should be the consideration prior to purchasing. Okay. So in mechatronics applications, so what you should do it of Abdina. So this IO typically operates in either of two modes. One to be the open loop or other one to be the closed loop over on it. Okay. So this open loop operation which exists, what will happen when inputs are read and our outputs are written over there. But no relationship or dependency exists between the inputs and outputs. Okay. So this open loop operation which exists when inputs are read and our outputs are written, but no relationship or dependency exists between the inputs and outputs over there. So similarly, this manufacturer of compressors may use the open loop method for automatic compressor testing. Okay, so a time-based sequence which is often employed at time t1, a signal is sent to the compressor motor, which resets the motor speed to the specified value. So the signal is sent from the computer. It is called as an output over on it. So after waiting a pre-selected time, the T seconds for the equipment to hopefully stabilize the pressure, temperature, flow and speed are read and saved in memory. So because these four signals, what will happen, Abdina? So they are read into the computers and they are called inputs. So the process will then is repeated with a new motor speed command. So this approach is called open loop because the output signal occurs at t-second intervals regardless of the values of the input signals. Okay. So we had a stabilization not been reached in the t-second period, it would not be known one. Also note that this process reduces to a classic data logger if the output signal is omitted. Okay, and in a closed loop operation, so what will happen? The output signals are dependent on the input signals. The same example can be made to operate in closed loop by changing the time-based logic on when a reading is taken to event-based logic and the event being stabilization of the four input signals. Okay, so clearly this requires a little more programming effort because the time differential of each of the four signals must be computed and combined in such a way that the read input command is initiated at the instant when all four at the derivatives are less than a pre-specified magnitude. Okay, So aside from the extra programming, the closed loop approach will automatically vary the time between measurements. Each measurement is taken at a precisely controlled operating conditions, which is something that the open loop approach cannot claim over on it. So in mechatronic applications, the IO typically operates by either an open loop or closed loop operations. An open loop operation exists when inputs are read and our outputs are written, but no relationship or dependency exists between the inputs and outputs. So in a closed loop operations, so what will happen now? The output signals are dependent on the input signals. So in a mechatronic applications, what will happen? The input and output typically will have a open loop or closed loop operation. So what is the open loop? That is without getting any feedback over on it. Similarly, with the closed loop, that is the case of an open loop, the inputs from the will not dependent on the output. Okay, that is when inputs are read and outputs are written, but there is no any relationship or dependency exists between the input and output. Whereas in the case of a closed loop operations, the output signals they are dependent on the input signals. So the next thing we have to see about an data conversion process. So when we are defining data acquisition systems in the real-time environment, especially using microcomputers, so it has become an important need in many automated manufacturing situations. Okay, so if it is required to monitor several pieces of data at precisely the same time, sample and hold devices are necessary. At the same time, the sample and hold device is used to hold each sampled value of the signal until the next pulse occurs. Okay, so if it is required to monitor several pieces of data at preciously the same time, sample and hold devices are necessary. A sample and hold device is used to hold each sampled value of the signal until the next pulse occurs. So in many mechatronic applications, so what will happen Abdina? The sensor signal is a complex one. So we'll have a time varying voltage that is considered a combination of many sine and cosine waves of different frequencies and amplitudes. So we'll have a complex time varying voltage that is considered a combination of many sine and cosine waves of different frequencies and amplitudes. So a process of filtering, what will happen, which eliminates some of the frequencies. So some of the sources of noises are, so some noises from the actuator motion. So that is example being commutator, brushes and relay contacts. Similarly, the noise due to electromagnetic interference of transmission lines at the same time we'll have a crosstalk also. So filtering is used to remove certain band of frequencies from a signal, permitting others to be transmitted. So we are going to do for the filtering. We know that what is the function of filtering. The filtering which is used to remove the certain band of frequencies at the same time others to be transmitted. So we'll have four different types of filters. So among that in the three which is major T1, it is a low pass filter which allows all frequencies from 0 to a certain level frequencies to be transmitted. Similarly, for a high pass filter which has a pass band which allows all the frequencies from certain level up to a infinity one. Whereas band pass filter which attenuates signals at both high and low frequencies and allows a range of frequencies to pass without attenuation. So in several cases, the computer reads the information from several channels one at a time using a device called multiplexer. Okay. So the multiplexer is a switching device, so which enables each of the inputs to be sampled in turn. It is a data selector that allows only one of the inputs to get through to the output override. If it is necessary to control the experiment, the computer must supply the outputs in digital or an analog form. So data acquisition systems which requires the use of analog to digital converters to input the sensitive informations coming from analog transducers and sensors to computer system. So this figure shows a diagram of A to D converters. So we'll have a input data, we'll have a amplifying and filtering over on it, and then we'll have a sample and hold circuit, we'll have a multiplexer, then finally we'll have a to D converters and it goes to an computers. So multiplexer in analog to digital conversions environment. So this has to be carried out over there. So if the needed control signal is to be an analog, so digital output from the computers which has to be processed through digital to analog converter. So in a computer aided process control system, the process control actions are recommended to the operator and displayed on the operator terminal. So computer aided process control system, the process control actions are recommended to the operator and displayed on the operator terminal. Whereas in the case of an automatic closed loop process control systems, which requires that the sensed data be manipulated to decide the control actions, which should be subsequently and automatically implemented by means of suitable actuators. Okay, the majority of the actuators, what will happen, require analog voltages and currents for their operations. So it is therefore necessary to convert the digital binary output from the microcomputer into an analog format. So the real-time interface which handles the required digital data from the A to D or D to A converters. The control program is designed upon an overall analysis of the closed-loop control system. This control algorithm is executed during each sampling interval. If the bandwidth of the system is relatively high and multiple signals are sampled and converted, then efficient interface software is necessary overall. So typical control programs which can be generated in higher level languages, in assembly level languages and in visual simulation languages. So assembly languages are useful in some instances where execution time is small and critical. Visual simulation procedures are used for situations where real-time data acquisitions and control are done simultaneously using process models and sensor data. So in these cases, block diagram based models of manufacturing or industrial process are constructed and used in an atmosphere of hardware and software in one loop over there. So although most of the sensors provide a direct signal output, a large number of transducers convert a dynamic variable into an analog electrical signal. It is necessary to use an A to D converter to transform an analog voltage into a binary number through a process called quantization. So quantization is the process of taking continuous analog signals and breaking it into a number of discrete steps. The conversion is discrete and takes place at one at a time. The A to D converter has two sides, one is analog side and other is a digital side. The analog side specification includes a full-scale reference voltage range. The A to D converter will operate under this range. The digital side is specified in terms of the number of bits of its register. A n-bit A to D converter will output n-bit binary numbers. The three functions of sampling, quantizing, and encoding are involved in this process. So we'll have a sampling, quantizing, and encoding. The conversion process involves sampling the continuous signal, storing this voltage, and before the next sample is taken, converting the stored number to the binary number, which typically converts of n-bit binary output length. The quantization of sampled analog signal involves the assignment of finite number of amplitude levels corresponding to the discrete values of input signals between the range of go and the full scale value of VR. If the A to D converter has a range of 10 bits, so 1024 different values of the input voltage can be represented. A typical voltage, so the typical voltage range for the system is about 10 volts over on it. Therefore, the resolution would be 10 by 1024 or about 10 millivolt, which yields about 0.1 percentage accuracy. So sampling rate, this parameter determines how often conversions can take place. A faster sampling rate acquires more data in a given time and therefore often can form a better representation of the original signal. Resolution. The number of bits that the ADC uses to represent the analog signal is the resolution. The higher the resolution, the larger the number of divisions the range is broken into and therefore the smaller the detectable voltage change. So we're defining a range. Range refers to the minimum and maximum voltage levels that the ADC can quantize. DAQ devices offer selectable range, so the device is configurable to handle a variety of voltage level. With this flexibility, you can match the signal range to that of ADC to take advantage of the available measurement resolution. So whereas in the code width, the range, resolution and gain available on a DAQ device determine the smallest detectable change in voltage. This change in voltage represents one or least significant bit of the digital value and is often called the code width. The ideal code width is found by dividing the voltage range by the gain times to raise to the order of bits in the resolution.
Yeah.
Although the basic specifications may show that a DUK device has a 16-bit resolutions ADC and a 100 kHz sampling rate, one may not sample at full speed on all 16 channels and get full 16-bit accuracy. For example, some products on the market today with 16-bit ADCs get less than 12 bits of useful data. While evaluating DAQ products, also consider the differential one. Settling time is the time required for an amplifier, relays, or other circuit to reach a stable mode of operation. The instrumentation amplifier most likely will not settle when you are sampling several channels at high gains and high rates. So under such conditions, the instrumentation amplifier has difficulty tracking large voltage differences that can occur as the multiplexer switches between input signals. Typically, the higher the gain, the faster the channel switching time, the less likely the instrumentation amplifier is to settle. Noise. Any unwanted signal that appears in the digitized signal of the DAQ device is noise because the PC is a noisy digital environment. Acquiring data on a plug-in device takes a careful layout on multiple layer DAQ devices by skilled analog designers. Simply placing an ADC, instrumentation amplifier, and bus interface circuitry on a one or two layer board will likely result in a very noisy device. Designers can use metal shielding on a DAQ device to help reduce noise. Proper shielding not only should be added around the sensitive analog sections on a DAQ device, but also must be built into the layers of the device with ground planes. So triggers, many DAQ applications need to start or stop a DAQ operations based on an external event. So digital triggers synchronize the acquisition and voltage generation to an external digital pulse. Whereas in the case of an analog triggers used primarily in analog input operations, start or stop the DAQ operations when an input signal reaches a specified analog voltage level and slope polarity. So another important consideration is the number of analog input channels. In a multi-channel A to D system, the processor is programmed to determine which analog channel to convert next in sequence. When several analog input channels are to be converted, the A to D converter is shared or multiplexed by sequentially sampling and converting the voltage on each of the channels. So by that, this topic is over now. So let me the remaining topic let me on see on the next class. Thank you all.